Does anyone have a question I'd like to ask?
If we ever feel unsatisfied in our life, does that mean that we're just not opening?
Excuse me, can you repeat that?
If we're ever feeling unsatisfied in our life, does that just mean that we're not opening?
You know, I hate to say this, but one of the really limiting states that a person can attain is feeling satisfied with themselves. You know, I mean, this state of satisfaction, you know, it creates kind of a nebulous, you know, it's not really joy, and it's not really love, and it's not really happiness, and it's not really a spiritual life. It's like a stagnant pool of water. You arrive at a place where you feel a little better, and that's okay. But that feeling should not limit one to growth. And as long as there's growth taking place in a human being, there's going to be some kind of struggle. The struggle isn't unhealthy. The struggle isn't, something that we have to concern ourselves about. It's just telling us that we're trying to move to another dimension within ourselves. And we have to let go of whatever we've attained inside so we can move on that way. And that's always going to be a struggle. To me, that struggle is one of the healthiest things a human being can go through, because it represents change, it represents, growth, it represents a whole inner need to get closer and closer to the fountainhead of higher energy in the universe. And the dangers of satisfaction is we arrive at a place that we don't want to go on anymore. The growth is finished, I mean, look, while we're going through difficulty, it doesn't mean the heart has to close. It doesn't mean there has to be no love, no joy. One has to be grateful for be given the strength to continue to evolve inside themselves. I mean, all of that is part of, developing a spiritual life. And, a state of satisfaction, it's almost like the end, of one's inner growth. And there's nothing wrong with that, as long as we have that feeling and we understand that this is not the end of what we have to do with our lives. There's much more, there's a deeper element that we have to attain. This is just another step on a ladder. So I don't think, when you're feeling dissatisfied with you, I mean, that's an unhealthy approach to your life. It's telling you you haven't arrived yet. You have work to do on yourself. You have to build a stronger inner life. You have to grow. You have to learn how to surrender and be free of whatever you've attained so you can move on to the next dimension of your life. And the incredible thing about a spiritual practice is that the energy of God, the energy of spirit, there's no limit to it. You understand? There's only limit in the human mind that thinks when they attain a certain degree of development, and they're satisfied with what they've done with their life, that, they don't have to move on from there. I mean, it's like an artist, finding something that works and keeps painting the same painting over and over again because it's commercially successful, they're making money, and they're satisfied with what they've attained. They've gotten some kind of recognition in life. And their artistic endeavor really becomes very limited because it's just repetition. They become satisfied with their growth instead of constantly trying to open to deeper levels of creativity. So I'm not saying we shouldn't be satisfied. We should, but it shouldn't be the end of our growth. You know, we have to have, you know, a certain plateau that we reach, and there's often satisfaction with that plateau, but it shouldn't be the end of a person's life because there's so much more creativity in the universe. Energy of God has no limitation. It's endless. And also you learn how to build an amazing muscle system inside that gives you the capacity to grow and transform anything that comes into your life into a spiritual life. I mean, you know, there was one, you know, the Rolling Stones once sang a song, I can't get no satisfaction. And it sounded like something, well, negative that they couldn't, but it was, you know, in a deeper expression of consciousness. Okay, you can't get satisfaction. Keep working on yourself to get your heart open, to work deeper, you know, open to more possibilities that life has. Use that state to as an opportunity to really develop yourself. And frankly, there's always going to be some irritation in everybody. My teacher always talked about, you know, irritations would create pearls. You know, in oysters, you need an irritation to create a pearl. You need pressure, the earth's pressure to create diamonds, rubies, you know, precious and semi-precious stones. It's all the pressure of the earth that creates these gems. It's the pressure in life that also creates gems inside people. Because those pressures demand that we really go deeper and we find a deeper sense of reality in ourselves. Now, this is not necessarily an easy thing to listen to because everybody at some point, well, it's enough already, but it's never enough. And then it's what we do with the irritation, what we do with the thing that's wrong inside us. And that determines the amount of growth that takes place inside us. And I think in life, there will always be irritation. There will always be something wrong, something that bothers us, some incompletedness about how we're living, always. Now it's what we do with that. Instead of being defeated by it, we have, okay, I need to grow. And once we learn how to be grateful for the inconvenience, it transforms our life because we recognize it's the one ingredient in the soup that demands that we continue to grow and develop our creativity in our inner lives. Satisfaction never demands anything from a human being. So it's a different way of looking at the world, you know, but it's a very good way, I think, because as long as we're alive on this earth, there's always going to be something to irritate us, always. External things, internal things. And we have to learn how to master them and use them to grow.
It's 2:00.
Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? And just finally to finish, just learning how to be grateful for even the things that we're not satisfied with about ourselves. I mean, that is a very blessed state of being, learning how to be grateful for the negative things that go on and learning how to use them to build a much deeper sense of reality inside ourselves. Does anyone else have a question I would like to ask? Okay. And that finally, it teaches us how to deal with anything. All the stuff that goes on, and that we can find a way to turn that into something positive and something that gives us a spiritual life. I mean, the greatest teachers, the Buddha was in, 40 days and nights in the desert, starving himself. Christ, and, struggling with the devil in the desert, on a cross, forgive them, they know not what they do. I mean, it's extraordinary. The pain, the irritation, every reason in the world to be negative. And all they found was a way to get them closer to God. I mean, it's, it's in every religion, it's the exodus from Egypt, from the Jewish people. I mean, finally crossing the Jordan River to go to the promised land. I mean, it's all metaphorical about inner growth. Coming out of self-slavery, crossing our own particular river so that we enter a place of a much higher level of consciousness. Every religion has that metaphor. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Okay. All right, well, God bless you all. Thank you. And I can't tell you again, I keep repeating this over again, but it fills my heart with so much joy to be able to be sitting here and doing this and even listening to the stuff that comes out of me, because I'm not talking, it's a higher force that is talking. And your presence here is truly making this all happen. So bless you all. And I'm looking forward to seeing everyone on Sunday. Have a great weekend. God bless you. Thank you.
Bless.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bless
Stuart.
you.